Hello, everyone. This is Jurgen Appelo calling from Brussels in Belgium. And we're here to discuss a question that was asked for Happy Melly Coffee, my bi-weekly coffee meeting with Happy Melly members. One of the most popular questions asked in the last week or so was from Sander, who is from Perth, Australia, or lives in Perth, Australia at this time. So I'm giving the microphone virtually to Sander, and Sander, you can tell us what your question is.
All right, thank you, Jurgen. It's quite an honor actually to have my question be the winner out of so many awesome questions. My question is, how can we create or increase urgency for change in companies that are still mainly managed but not led? So if I may elaborate a little bit on what I mean by that, because it has two parts to it. What I'm trying to find out is companies that are going through a change process, because, for instance, the economy is in a downturn, so changes need to be made. But because they don't know anything else than what they've always done, they will do it the traditional way, the old school way. So, set up a change project, change management, a very directed approach to change. I feel myself that we're kind of missing the point. That the world is changing so fast that whatever they do to change the company, it's basically not good enough. They're not making the right changes in that sense. So how can we make sure that the company understands that it needs to change much more fundamentally than just find new products or appoint a new manager for a department or something like that? So that's ultimately my question, and I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, certainly, it makes sense for me. Does anyone want to elaborate on that question or give their comments on the question? Can we improve the question or rephrase it to make it even better? Who wants to give their opinion on it? Anyone?
So,
okay.
Yeah, I want to clarify, because you started from asking about the urgency and how companies could, how can we introduce change to the companies. And then you moved from urgency to understanding that changes should be much more fundamental. So, I think it's two different questions. And so right now it's not clear to me what you really want to understand, what question you really want to get answer for.
I think that's a very good comment. Indeed, so the sense of urgency is sort of a traditional question that is asked in many change programs. Kotter is famous for his 8-step approach, where one of the first is create a sense of urgency, that the managers are trying to create a sense of urgency among their employees. But you now rephrase it into sort of an urgency for management themselves to realize that change is more fundamental. Is that what we end up with as the question, Sander?
Yeah, I think so. The reason that I asked the question is indeed because I've recently read two of Kotter's books, and I came across the point of you have to create urgency to basically initiate change. So my point is actually that a company can feel urgency to change, for instance, because they have problems on the economic side of things, revenues falling, customers are leaving, stuff like that. So their knee-jerk reaction would be to start up an old school change program, which for them has urgency. But my point is, how can we create urgency in the sense that they will understand that they need to change the way a company is actually set up? So, yeah, I think that's as good as I can phrase it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense to me. It makes the question deeper. I like that. It is a less traditional question that way. Anyone else wants to
Um,
add their
yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. I'm a little bit disturbed with the urgency term, because for me it's not a question; it's more a solution to the problem, and I'm not really sure the urgency itself is the best medium to help a company to change from a mainstream culture with manager to something that is more laid and more support. So I'm a little bit disturbed with this urgency. I was quite interested in the question itself, because it's a management change and how we can be catalyzed for change. But this urgency thing, it's not in my DNA, and I'm not very comfortable with creating urgency. I prefer the term creating the showing the purpose and creating the need than the urgency.
Okay, okay. So you don't like the word urgency that is described in the question. You would like to see it from a more positive perspective, the purpose and the need that we realize as an organization is that we need to pursue.
Mm.
Interesting. Anyone else wants to rephrase the question or add their thoughts to the question before we start answering it? We have two other members joining us, Thomas and Ronaldo. Maybe you have an idea there? Nobody? All right. Alexis?
Yes. I think it's really interesting to look at it from the manager's point of view. You've said that you want to create to initiate a change in the companies that have managers. And from the manager's point of view, if there's an external urgency to change, revenue are falling or things like that, as you said before, they will handle it in the old school way. Okay, but how can we raise the awareness so they need to change their way of managing the company, or the way they behave? And I think it's really a nice question, because usually when there's an external urgency, they will be more stuck in fear than willing to change the way they behave. They will try to change the others, not them. So it's quite interesting to have this.
Yeah.
I understand that urgency is something, but that rises a little bit fear.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So we have a couple of comments about the question itself. Who wants to offer an answer? How can we answer this question? Does anyone have a suggestion for addressing it?
I can try.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I believe that when we talk about traditional managers, people who've been in this role for quite a while, so usually many of them accept the arguments only like in logical way, right? Whereas which are based on pure data. And it would be better if this pure data would be from your own experience, or even better from their own experience, right? At the same time, we talk about urgency and like changing the better way. I'll find a way explaining them that they need to move to another level. I think it's difficult to explain them. I mean, when your pants are on fire, right? You're not trying to find a better way to deal with it. You try to just turn the fire off. So what I would, for example, do is to try to be calm and just track at these failures. I mean, these moments when they started new initiative all the way, they distinguish a fire. But I mean, as the organization is going in the same traditional way, it means that in the nearest future, a new fire appears, and then the new fire appears, and then the new fire appears. But when you collect all this data, right, saying, hey, okay, well, at least during last year, if you really want to stay in the company like this for a year or two, but during these years, we have that, and that. Maybe we are doing something wrong, and maybe we need just to start talking about it at least.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. I did a bit of digging around myself in the last couple of weeks, quite coincidentally about the same topic, change management. And I found a few interesting comments about the sense of urgency. It is often referred to as a comment by John Kotter, the famous change guru, who said as one of his 8 steps, that an error that companies make is not establishing great enough sense of urgency. But other people have their own thoughts about it. One writer said, who wants to work in an organization that is metaphorically going up in flames? It is not motivating for people to work on a company that is on fire. They would rather flee, jump ship. Another comment was that successful change is not achieved by fearful, anxious, and reactive people in a state of perpetual crisis. I thought that was an interesting comment. So the idea here, and that is one thing I learned, that there is a side effect, a potential harm that you're doing when you create a sense of urgency. It is a negative thing that you're communicating. And someone also wrote that this sense of urgency could give people the feeling that everything that they have done so far is bad. It makes people feel bad about their own achievements so far. A better way to communicate, as I understood, is the current state of the organization, the transparency of where we are right now. That makes sense, without calling it an urgency, without making people feel scared and saying that the building is on fire, metaphorically speaking, but they have to realize where they stand right now with the company. This is the situation we have. And I also agree with Maxime, who said we should motivate people with a need, a purpose. This is where we want to be. Well, that is what Kotter says in his 8-step model. The vision, that is another of his 8 steps. We need to show people where we want to end up. But those two have to be combined. This is where we are right now. Don't tell people we're on fire. Just tell them, this is it. It may not be good enough. And this is where we want to end up. So that's the two different things are important. And then we should apply that, and I like that about the deeper aspect of your question, Sander, apply that to the organization itself, the way it approaches change management, because it is quite traditional to always have change rolled out in the organization by top management. And for every change, whether it is the introduction of a new method like Scrum or SAFe, or a new tool set like SAP, whatever, people need to be convinced and they need to be brought online and aligned and be involved. And always it is the managers leading it. I think that is the deeper aspect of your question, Sander, that maybe we should confront organizations with the current state of the world. Well, this is old-fashioned. This is not the way it is supposed to be anymore in the 21st century. Anyone in the organization should be able to start a change, and that would be the future image that I would try to paint as a purpose. Look, right now it is always a CEO and top management who's rolling out a change. That is traditional. It's old-fashioned, 20th century. That is a sense of urgency, maybe. It's not good anymore. It's too slow. You're too slow changing as an organization that way. What you want is people implementing changes all the time in the company. Does it make sense to you, Sander, this line of thinking?
It does actually. I like the concept of turning it around a little bit and moving away from the negativity of a word like urgency, and turning it around into the purpose. That's where we want to go. But I am going to play advocate of the devil here a little bit, because if you point out this is the current state, then people might think, well, yeah, so. And if you then point out this is where we want to go, then the same people might think, yeah, but why? They might not see the benefit of going from where we are now to where we want to be. And I guess it all boils down to, how can you convince people that if you maintain your current state and don't start moving toward the vision, that you will basically, in the end, you will just lose out.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Anyone else wants to add something here?
Yeah, I was thinking a little bit about what you say both, and I really think something catch me in Sander's phrase, that it was very directive, and I really think we have to address the pain of people. And when you're talking to manager, even if they are managing people, when you talk to them, they express pain, saying, okay, this is not the good way, it does not suit me, but I don't know how to make it another way. So more than being direct them to a solution, I really think you have to listen to the pain and try to find out. So, oh, sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, something went wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
I really think that you have to show people that their pain can be addressed by one of the things you can propose. And it could not work, but it's worth a try, because the pain is still there and is going to still be there if we continue in this line. So I really think it's not urgency to change, it's urgency to listen to the pain and being able to address by coaching, by helping, by listening, active listening, and stuff like that, what people want to express and have an opinion on what is possible to address in this organization and in this context, and what the place is available for that. And when you address that, you enlarge a little bit the place of the room, what is available, and they give you another lever to go to the next pane and to enlarge a little bit more the thing. So I'm not very fond of revolution, really more on the little state thing. And I really think that you have to address that in the organization step by step on what is available. And when you have the foot on the door, then you will be able to open the door, and then you will be able to prove that it works, and on this organization it works, and you can go further. And I think when you have one or two managers that has proved that it works on the organization, it's going to be quicker and quicker.
Right. Okay. Thomas, thank you, Maxime. Thomas, you had your hand up. What's your comment?
Yes, my comment is usually we speak a lot if change management should be top down, top bottom, or bottom up thing. Yeah, and maybe your approach, Jurgen, maybe is the best approach. We here understand that change management should be done by the management of the middle layer itself, and the start of that should be maybe not saying that the ship is on flames or something like you said, maybe something like why we want to change, or try to show them why there's a better way to work, or why the things are not working on our current organizations. Maybe that's the spark that we need to promote, and should be on the middle management for the first start. Because for top management, if they see results, that's okay. they will buy the idea. And the bottom the bottom layer, maybe when you provide a better environment or a better way to work, they will change as well. They will see the results. So basically the people that's most affected is the middle managers, because it's something related to power and egos and something like that.
Right, I think you have a good point there. Middle management is often significantly affected by all kinds of change. Right. Cool. Any other inspiring, smart comments about change management? Any other one? Okay. So my own thinking is that I read a fascinating post by Gary Hamel just a week or two ago, and he said, the famous management guru, by the way, he wrote that that companies should stop rolling out change programs, because this leads to the famous metric of 70% of change initiatives fail. This is often mentioned as a statistic on Forbes and Harvard Business Review and everywhere. Now, there are a number of people who criticize the metric itself, whether it is 70% or 50% or whatever, doesn't really matter that much. Fact is, many people resist change when it is top down. And Gary Hamel says part of the problem is this old-fashioned approach to always rolling down change from the top to the bottom. And he said management basically should have one change initiative, and that is implementing a change platform, where the company itself becomes an engine for people driving change. And that would be middle management as well. They should be able to introduce changes and not only implement the changes that were handed down by them, to them by the top managers. So they should be able to come up with ideas and say, let's try and do this. So I like that idea of the change platform. I have my own suggestion of maybe using a change habitat, because a habitat is an environment where people like living in. It is the natural environment of an organism. So a change habitat would be a habitat where people like changing things, where it is okay to experiment with a change, and anyone should be able to drive such a change. And I think the smart thing that basically Sander suggested is to try and find something that resonates with management, that makes them realize that it is urgent, whether or not we use that word, but it is urgent for them to start building this platform or this habitat of change. How do we make them realize that this is needed? I think by showing that other companies move faster. I think that is the most important thing to show, that change costs time. It is very, very ineffective to roll out change. It is painful, and then 70% fails. So there is a lot of wasted effort. I think those statistics, the fact that change is so painful, that it is very, very slow process, rolling out all those changes, that is, I think, the sense of urgency that we can create among top managers, that they should do something else, create a platform or a habitat of change, and then show this as a purpose, as a need, as Maxime said, by giving examples of other companies that do this well. We see this in the car industry, by the way. I mean, the traditional car manufacturers, they are anxious about Google, Apple, Tesla, all those software companies invading their industry. Basically, that is an industry almost on fire at this time. There's certainly a sense of urgency there. So that's how I think about it. Maybe we should go back to Sander and offer him the chance to give some last word. Did Timo just raise his hand?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, first Timo and then Sander.
Hello, everybody. By the way.
Hey there.
So, thank you for the invite, and I joined late. Sorry for that. I just thought, could it be that the difficulty with creating these habitats, as you call them, lies in the fact that change almost by definition touches different silos, lots of silos within the company. So you would have to have top managers agreeing upon playing delegation poker together, and creating that habitat. Because what I experienced is that when you start introducing, or when you introduce small changes continuously, then you always are at risk of stepping into someone's territory, and that's a big difficulty that I see.
Yeah, I agree. So I think part of the change habitat or platform, whatever term you use, is turn this into an environment where it is possible for people to introduce changes while stepping on other people's toes. This is part of what we're doing. You'll have to invite them into discussion and say, hey, I would like to change something, and that has an influence on the way that you work. But this should be done in a very respectful and open and honest way, without forcing people, without imposing change on others. But everyone could benefit from a course in being an influencer, being a persuasion agent, or whatever term you want to use there. And this should
what you will do is...
Go ahead, Jamel, yeah?
Sorry, what you always do with this is question hierarchies, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you will also have to answer the question, why do we still have the hierarchies? Why do they, at some point at the edge of the habitat, why does the hierarchies area begin again?
Yes, I agree. And the hierarchies have a function, but often they are overloaded with useless attributes. And it is possible to diminish the importance of the hierarchy while not destroying it completely, but just taking a couple of things out. Like Google has done famously, for example, managers cannot hire people at Google. They have delegated that responsibility to peers and committees. And that was one step to make. That is one step in which you can de-emphasize the hierarchy. You take some responsibility away, but the hierarchy is still there. And you can do that with anything that is on the delegation board, basically. So thanks for the input, Timo. It is, we're beyond our time box, so I'd like to finish with giving Sander a last couple of words if he wants, and then we'll close the call.
Sure, thank you. First of all, thanks everyone for great answers and great insights. I feel that it's a very difficult question to answer anyway, because it kind of goes back to how can you make, basically what Timo said, is you will make small changes within your capacity and within your reach of power, if I may use that word. But perhaps changing an organization so that, for instance, the whole concept of silos disappears is basically almost perpendicular to it. So I think that makes it really difficult to actually show a company that we need to change as a company, which might mean that we need to change the whole setup of the company, that we might want to work in a different way without hierarchies and stuff like that. And at the same time, we have to deal with the fact that we have to talk to middle management, who has to talk to upper management. So I would say this is actually a big conundrum. And yeah, summarizing one word, conundrum.
I love the word. So thank you, Sander, for offering the question. I hope everyone got a little bit wiser maybe not too much, but there are small steps that we're making here, trying to make sense of the world of business. If you have questions yourself, feel free to join us at Happy Melly. We have Slack channels where we discuss amazing channels. We have a Trello board where we add our questions and vote on them. So feel free to add your own and vote on your most popular question. And maybe in 2 weeks, we will be discussing the next one, and it will be a very different question than we discussed this time. I wish everyone a very enjoyable weekend. Thanks everyone for joining, all your contributions. Awesome. I hope you will be there again next time. And talk to you later. Bye-bye.